here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Episode of Chatting with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. I don't know how we're going to fit all this advice into one show, but we're going to do it. Here we are. Today we are conquering conflict with our kids. Because let's be honest, sometimes our kids do have the best arguments. And for the little ones, that usually happens right before bedtime. Right? But we are not stopping there. We also have a personal growth coach with tips to keep the peace in your marriage. Because sometimes when you say, I'm fine, it usually means you're not. Just like when you say, babe, can you take out the trash? It usually means, take out the trash right now.
Right, can you take out the garbage?
Yeah. Give me a minute.
That's what I'm talking about. She really meant right now. Okay, welcome Atinuke Solanke, founder of Neil Coaching. You help a lot of women basically deal with different things, also help with their relationships as well. Tell me how you got started in personal growth coaching.
Okay, so my story started with me losing my son. So I lost my son 3 years ago to cancer, and he was age 7.
Wow.
Now that got me spiraling into anger, resentment, depression. And I happened to join a program online on YouTube, and it was an emotional healing program. So I started hearing about emotions, hearing about mindsets, hearing about childhood traumas. And then that just got me curious, you know, maybe I need to learn this. I mean, I told myself, well, 3 months, if I give myself 3 months to learn all of this, if nothing changes in my life with how I was feeling, then I know I've tried something new. So I got a coach, and that's how I started my healing journey personally for myself. You know, in doing all of this, I started to see, at the time, my marriage was a mess, hell. We were about to get a divorce, actually. And then in doing all of this background work, seeing how, you know, I have become who I am or who I was at the time, I then realized that I actually had a role to play in the downfall of my relationship, you know.
Oh, wow, that's heavy. That's a lot of people don't want to admit their own role, even if their partner is problematic.
Yeah,
there might
absolutely.
Be some other
I always say
factors.
to women that no matter how bad a relationship is, you have a role to play in it. It's 50-50, right? So there's something you are doing. It might just be accepting what your partner is doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything so grand. It might just be as little as that, but everyone has a role to play in how things turn out.
So, okay, well, since you've been through it and you've learned so much, let's dive right into these tips.
Okay.
So there are certain ways you say that we need to tackle like conflict in our marriage. What's your first tip for that?
I think the first one is finding the right time.
Okay.
What that means is understanding that when emotions are high, when everyone is still angry, it's not the best time to communicate.
Okay, so if we just started an argument over something, maybe let's find a better time?
Yeah.
Like, how do we communicate that?
So what I usually advise is have a safe word.
Okay, I like that.
So when emotions are high and everything is flying, maybe I say, not now, for example.
Okay.
Once I say not now, my partner knows what that means. Okay, it's time to drop this. I'm going out of control now, and I don't want to say what I don't mean. So that means, can we come back to this after? So this doesn't mean we're not going to have the conversation. It just means we're not going to have it there and then. By the time we're calm, we are back to being ourselves, then we can revisit it and then now discuss holistically.
Okay, my safe word is going to be pineapple. Pineapple!
Fantastic.
Pineapple! You can use whatever you like. I don't know, I just like that one. What's your next tip for us?
Is listen to understand, not to defend.
Okay.
So this means just as angry as you are, and you know that your feelings are valid, your partner's feelings are also valid. So listen to understand their perspective. What did that thing mean to them? Where are they coming from with this? So it's very important that we listen, because most times we listen just to defend.
Right.
So we lose the point that the other party is trying to make. right? Because no, I didn't do it. I didn't mean it that way. Or no, just listen to understand where because the more you understand your partner, you also know, okay, no, when I do it this way, this person doesn't like it and things like that. So it's very, very important. Listen to understand.
That's really good. And it requires you to take a beat, you know, don't just try to jump in as soon as they take a breath.
Yes, because most times nothing means anything except the meaning that you give to it. So most times in situations, we have given that thing a meaning. So we are reacting based on the meaning that we have given to that situation or our experiences, right? So how about I actually calm down? My meaning might not be the other party's meaning.
Right.
How about I understand what this means to that person? Then we can now discuss.
All right, well, we got some more tips to get through. We're going to take a quick commercial break, guys. We'll be right back after this. We're back with Coach Atinuke after she resolved conflict in her own marriage by finding out the source of it.
Yeah.
You're out helping women do the same with theirs. So what is the next tip for dealing with that conflict?
I would say focus on the issue,
Okay.
not the person. Because when we focus on the person, they're listening to defend. Remember, we talked about that as well.
Yeah.
We want them to understand where we are coming from. So the goal is focus on the issue. What has happened? How do you feel? What would you like them to do? Because most times we just complain about what the other party is doing or not doing. We don't actually equip them with what we want.
Okay.
So this has happened, I feel this way, but can we do this instead? But you just leave that space blank, and that's why cycles keep going on, nothing changes.
Got it. So instead of being like, oh, you lazy because you didn't take out the trash right away, focus on the actual issue, which is
The trash.
I wanted the trash to be taken out right away and didn't really communicate that.
Exactly.
Aha. Okay, all right, I'm getting it.
Exactly.
What's your next tip?
I would say use I statements,
Okay.
not you. Remember, we're trying to avoid attacking. When we attack, automatically the person defends. It's normal human nature.
Right.
If anyone attacks you, you want to prove your innocence. You want to show that, no, it's not that, right? So use I statements. I feel X, Y when you do A, B, C. I would like that you do X, Y, Z. Don't talk too much. Just be very direct. And the moment you express how you feel. Now, because it's a relationship, the person genuinely loves you, right? Because they remember how that action made you feel, they don't want to put you through that again.
Okay.
Right. So it's important to express how you feel.
Okay. I feel neglected when we don't go out on dates.
Exactly.
And-
Can we make it more? Can we do it once a month? Can we do it once a quarter instead?
Presenting a solution.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What else you got for us?
Pause. It's okay to pause. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to pray before you respond. So basically, don't respond immediately something happens.
Okay.
There's a 3-second rule. Just pause. The difference, it sounds so little, but the difference is so huge. What you would have said if you did not pause is very different from when you pause. So take a three seconds, basically, really.
So 3 seconds, not for when you drop food on the floor and you're trying to eat it real quick.
Yeah.
3 seconds for taking a breath, take a break, pause, before we respond.
Yes.
Even if that response might be, I need more time. Pineapple,
Yes.
I need more time.
You're getting it. I love it.
Very good tip. All right, what else should we be doing to resolve conflict?
Respect each other's boundaries.
Okay.
Sometimes the other party just needs space.
Yeah.
And respect that. Not everything is about you. We're in this together. So respect that. I'm just saying space as an example, but whatever their boundaries are, respect it.
If someone is not sure what those boundaries are, I mean, even with a marriage, some people might not really know. How do we have that conversation?
So that's one of the things that I help people, women, understand. And all of these things that with these tips we're giving also is very dependent on self-awareness. The more you know yourself, the more you know what you're dealing with, where you're coming from, the more you can guide the other party on how you want to be loved and treated.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, people only treat you how you allow them treat you. And how you allow them treat you is dependent on how you treat yourself, right? So being self-aware is a journey, it's a healing journey, it's a process of understanding where you're coming from, understanding your patterns and all of those things to get you there.
Yeah, you might need a coach or a therapist
Absolutely.
to talk through what these boundaries are, because you might just feel a certain way but not really realize why.
Exactly.
And it's a boundary probably that's being crossed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great tips so far. You have more for us as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, what's another one that we can incorporate?
Another one we can incorporate is focus on the solution. Perspectives might be different, but at the end of the day, we want a solution to this. So how do we meet halfway? How do we meet in the middle?
Ooh, that's a compromise right there.
Exactly, that's the word, compromise.
People don't like
yes.
that, Coach. Okay. How did you learn to approach compromising with your husband?
All of these things I've said, I started understanding that it's how you are thinking about the problem. The moment I understood that, right, I started playing back. What does this mean to me? Why am I acting this way? Most times it's something that's happened in childhood. So what happens is we're not really reacting to what has happened. We're reacting to what that situation reminds us of.
For example?
So we are triggered. So for example, a child or someone who is married now, who has constantly been criticized, condemned as a child, grows up to be a woman who is defensive. So whatever you're telling me, even a feedback, I can't take it because remember, I'm reminded that I'm not enough. So I want to prove, I want to defend, I want to shout, I want to show that no, I'm enough, but not realizing that that is worse, because what happens is we develop coping mechanisms as children. As adults, that coping mechanism becomes your prison. So being defensive, for example, cannot serve you in a relationship. You will tire the other party out. For someone who has become shy because as a child you were constantly ignored, shouted at, you go to boardrooms, you become a career person, you can't speak up at meetings. You see how that served you as a child has become a prison as an adult? Because you need to speak up, so people know what you have, know what you carry, and then you can grow from there, right? So there.
What have you seen from women who are adult people pleasers? Have you seen traced back to their childhood?
Absolutely.
Different actions or things that happen there?
Absolutely. I actually have a client right now who didn't realize that was a thing until she went through that journey. And tracing it back, we did find out that it was because as a child, she was thrown to boarding school. And she didn't want to go. So in her mind, she has now, the solution to her is do what people want you to do so that they like you.
Yeah.
So even in her home, she can't speak up because she doesn't want her husband not to like her. And that's where resentment grows. Because the more you bottle in what you feel because you don't want to fight, So people who try to avoid conflict don't realize that conflict is actually an opportunity for growth. Because I get to know you better. We get to now say, okay, no, we won't do this again. We'll do it this way instead. And that's how we grow. But avoiding it just breeds resentment.
Wow. So the conflict is not just the conflict that you're dealing with. There are some things that we got to dig in and address as well. Thank you so much. These are some wonderful tips. I hope we helped a lot of folks out there, okay?
So.
We're going to help them some more, though, because we're going to talk about resolving conflict with our own kids. It happens. We'll be right back after this. Sometimes we get into conflict with our kids, but we can't just kick them out the house. I mean, well, depending on the age, I know.
Listen.
Welcome back, Coach Alana, our bestie.
So glad to be back. So glad to be back on season 2.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, sometimes the kids will take us there.
Yeah.
A whole nother level. But what are some things that we should remember when we really do want to resolve the conflict with our kids?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to be graceful. And when I say be graceful, I mean not poised, but give yourself grace, but also give the child grace. Because this, for many of us, this is our first time. Even if you have more than one child, this is your first time, and this is certainly their first time. So you're not going to know everything. You're going to mess up. Being honest about your mess ups to your child is going to fortify a foundation of trust.
Oh, okay.
And so first and foremost, that's important. The other thing that is very important is for you to ask yourself, who do I want to be in this situation?
I ask myself that one a lot because, I have a little one and I don't want to be the mom that's yelling all the time
Absolutely.
and irritated all the time. So just asking myself that question will help me pull back and give that grace.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And part of the reason that you do that is because you're remembering what it was like when you were a kid. And that's another key, is for you to remember, put yourself in that position. That's actually one of the things, I don't know if you remember, that Mr. Rogers used to say that was the best thing for us to do, is to remember what it was like when we were a kid. Not just accepting the old advice that just keeps repeating itself decade after decade, but just pausing and remembering, how did you feel when your parent yelled at you? Ask yourself, as now an experienced child, an adult, is there a better way for me to communicate with this child? Because most of the time, these children are very smart.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a regular conversation with them.
And their ears work just fine.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, what if we've got, two parents in the situation, and one is always being like the enforcer, always trying to address the conflict. Maybe the other is avoiding the conflict. So one becomes like the good guy, and then the other one becomes the bad guy.
Yes, yes.
Is there a way to balance that out or avoid that dynamic altogether?
Well, there is a way to balance it out, and you don't have to avoid it. Oftentimes we spend so much time on avoiding things that we stunt our growth. And so if you do have that situation, it's just important, just like in your career, wherever you're not comfortable, if you want to grow in your career, that you need to lean in to the areas where you're uncomfortable. Same thing if you are the good cop. If you're the good cop, you need to lean in on being the bad cop. And vice versa. If you're the bad cop, you need to lean in on being the good cop. I've found that actually, just my personal experience with my husband and I, that it just depends on the situation. Because situationally, he'll be the good cop and I'll be the bad cop, and then vice versa. But ultimately, he and I are aligned and we give each other grace, and so it makes it a bit easier.
Okay, and you've got teens.
Oh, I have a 22-and-a-half-year-old.
Yes,
You don't count the halves after they get to. But anyway, I got a 22-and-a-half-year-old and one who is 17. So yeah, they're self-sufficient young men.
Yeah, but you still have conflict even at their grown-ish ages?
Well, because I've spent so much time with them, because people may not know, but I homeschooled them, that additional time has gotten them to a place where their conflict is easier resolved between them.
Okay.
And recently we had an encounter where my oldest son was sharing something with me after I mentioned something to him about my youngest son, and that was a light bulb moment. I remembered, I said, it's time for me to change positions. I'm no longer the advisor anymore. I was primary care, then I went to advisor and counselor, and now I'm observer.
Oh, so your role as a mom.
So I literally have to walk out of the room, because sometimes, the life coach in me, I want to say something. Many parents feel like, well, I'm doing this for my kid. And the truth is, you're doing what's making you comfortable. It's more comfortable for you to lean in and tell your kid what to do and problem solve. It's uncomfortable for you to let them fall and make a mess, because you feel like, I'm going to have to clean that up. But it's necessary.
Okay.
If you ever want to have your hands off of the reins and allow them to leave the nest and flourish, you have to figure out a way to take your hands off and let them fall and get muddy and dirty.
Because sometimes by trying to step in and do too much, you're
in the way,
creating the conflict.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I can say it with confidence now because I got 22 years experience, but I had to learn various stages. I had to let my 7-year-old pull a chair up to the countertop so he could stand on it and grab a bowl to make himself his own bowl of cereal, because I knew I was teaching him something in that.
Okay, so instead of you jumping in and then him saying,
what if he falls?
Well, I want to do it, blah, blah, blah. Like instead of y'all butting heads about getting the cereal,
Right.
It was, okay, we're going to step back.
The Hubs wasn't so convinced.
Okay.
But, that was one of those conflicts where, he was being the good cop and I guess I was being the not so good cop. But I knew there was something in my youngest son that I knew I needed to teach him independence early. And I had the opportunity to do it because we spent so much time together. And so I did.
And it worked out.
It absolutely did.
Okay.
Absolutely. You've met him, so
yes,
you know.
Yes, doing wonderfully. What is your word for single moms who they don't have anybody to play off of? And then sometimes it could feel like an even more stressful situation that could lead to more conflict when you feel like you're in charge of everything and you're trying to control everything?
Well, I do think that single moms have a different set of challenges, but I want to empower single moms to understand that they are not in this thing unidentifiable. Right, like they're having some of the same challenges that other people are having with a mate in the home.
Yes.
I saw a woman have a conversation, several women, they were coming together to have this conversation that their life is so much easier as a single mom.
What? These are words I have not heard before.
Because they were in a relationship with a person who was not helping.
Oh, yeah.
And coming home every day to that person was not making their life more peaceful. See, we give trade-offs. Like, there are some people who will come into your situation with relief because of where they came from, right? And that happens in all different facets of life. And so I think that oftentimes a single mom might forget that, and she may adopt, this is hard, this is supposed to be hard, I have it way harder. And that can be dangerous because when we spend too much time in that area, we often find ourselves not working on the solution. And it's difficult. I'm not going to act like it's roses, right? But it's also difficult for many people who have two people in the house.
Right. Sometimes
the best thing that your baby daddy could have ever did for you was not be in your house.
Well,
so
a word, ma'am. Okay.
we shall pass the collection plate.
Yes. With that, we're gonna take a break, you guys.
Yes.
We'll be right back after
the
this.
The kind that folds, not the kind that jingles.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chatting with Chelsea. Hope we helped you resolve some conflict with your marriage and your kids and all that. Thank you to our coaches for coming in with the fantastic advice. You guys can keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox, and we'll see you on the next Chatting with Chelsea.